I want to take you on a short spring walk today, but this time searching for signs of spring does not make much sense because spring is everywhere and we won't have to look far to see it. But also, I wanted to talk about something else. I believe you all heard something at least similar, if not this exact phrase. Go touch some grass. What does that mean? Usually you will find it on social media, in comment sections, various types. And what it means is go outside in the real world and get away from, the cyberspace or the internet or the angry comments somewhere. And anger is also one of the things I want to talk about. But of course, we will also mention some stuff we are seeing. For example, here we see some dried poop. But don't worry, I didn't want to talk about poop today. If you find that interesting, I apologize, but this is not what this video will be about. So I was thinking about arguing and anger a lot these days. And I do remember talking to a few of my friends and few of them mentioning how they felt anger building inside of them because they had either argument with their bosses or parents or boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, children, you name it. But then what they did is they maybe counted to 10 and went outside by themselves. Of course, people usually do not live in the middle of the woods. Maybe I will one day, but not all people are the same. So most of them just went out, walking through the city or small town or their village. Maybe headed out in some parks, sat on a bench, thought about life, bought themselves an ice cream, and they took a deep breath. And what happened? All the anger, all the sentences they had inside their heads already about their arguments, about their views, what they wanted to say to the opposing side, it all melted away. Well, actually, not entirely melted away, but the need to aggressively point it out to the other side, that did go away. What does that tell you? It tells you that anger, like most things in life that we don't see as really positive, it actually, if you leave it and do not feed it, do not give it attention, it melts away on its own. It's kind of a problem that is really only a problem if you give it enough attention, and then after some time it melts away. Look at this. Looks like a piece of trash. But I hate people. But it reminds me of the old times and cast iron pots that were hanging above the fire, and some kind of stew was cooking there, and later entire family would gather around, I guess, and eat. I say a thing and then I have a vision of how humans lived for thousands of years for some reason. Anyway, what I wanted to say is go touch some grass. And this is exactly what we are going to do today, both literally and figuratively. We are going to touch things, smell them, comment on them, say what they are for. With one important note, of course, if your house is on fire, you're not going to go out and touch grass or look at flowers. You're going to do all that's necessary, first of all, to be safe, for your family to be safe, and then after you make sure that part is done, of course saving the house if you can and so on. But for these little smaller things, for the things you do not have, let's say, a lot of control over, or they are really not big of a deal, except in the amount of negative emotions they awaken you, those things, I suggest you let them wait. I suggest you take a walk. It does not have to be in the park or in the middle of the forest. Take a walk wherever suits you. Remember, whenever you see anything, especially online, after which you feel intense anger, stop for a moment. Think about in whose interest it is for you to be angry. Where is your anger directed? And who might be behind it? So, if you joined me right now because you're angry, because of any reason, I hope together we can calm down at least a bit. Now look at these things. These are some kind of spring crocus flowers, I believe, or something that is similar to them. I forgot the name of them. I need to check it. I don't want to throw guesses here. I want to be sure. But let's not worry about the details. Let's look at this thing. So, this is the part of the path where tires go, usually. Maybe rarely, but they go, and it is very dry, very hard earth. You can maybe feel it by the sound it makes. And here is the flower. On our left side, we can see a plant we can learn a lot from. This is so-called tree heat. Not heat like too warm, but heat. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing things right. The name story is actually interesting. In Latin, it means tree-like, and it actually captures the physical appearance of it, because even though this plant is not really a tree technically, it does have similarities to trees. It has hardwood, and its overall shape is pretty much tree-like. What we can learn from it is its survival strategy, because usually it grows in poor soils, such as these dry ones, Mediterranean climate, and it actually is pretty resistant to wildfires, and it also developed symbiotic relationship with certain types of fungi, which is another strategic survival move right there. It is cherished because of the quality of its wood, so the hardwood part is actually very good for making certain musical instruments like clarinet and I believe few other ones. So yeah, you would never think of it. We are lucky that we got here just in time when blooming is starting. You can see these beautiful white-like flowers getting ready for blooming season. And if it wasn't for them, for these flowers that are so visible right now, maybe most of people wouldn't even notice the plant. But this one, in this time of the year, it really captures your attention. In terms of trees, what we mostly have here in this terrain is downy oak. Still no green leaves, too early for it. Here is entire line of them. They didn't grow to be too big, but it might be it's because of the terrain. Maybe they adapted to poor terrain and maybe this could be a windy part, so they tend not to grow too big. And since spring is in its full start, it wouldn't be too crazy for us to actually find one thing now, and that is asparagus. That's right, it's finally asparagus time. People already report finding a bunch of them. So here we have asparagus plant, a bit older one, and if we want to see are there any new ones, you should take a look at the base and see if there's any new shoot. I don't see it here, but look at this one. This one is huge. You know, I wouldn't be surprised that some people already picked something from here. I don't think that is the case though, because all the stalks that I see that seem cut, they look like they've been cut long time ago. They are already dried. So I believe this will have to wait a bit, but it is almost their time. Asparagus have a fun way to surprise you. Sometimes you can find them even in October. That happened to me last year. And sometimes you are sure you will find a bunch of them and you find none. Yeah. One time I found 2 asparagus shoots, 2 nice juicy shoots coming from the ground, like this one, very dry one. Some woods were cut down and they started growing there. It was a very unusual sight, you know. They weren't really hiding. They were sticking out in the entire view. But yeah, soon I will invite you to some asparagus hunt, maybe along the seashore. Maybe we might even cook some nice omelette. So I've been sitting here for 5 minutes, trying to capture something that interests me, but it is impossible. I'm trying to zoom in, and as soon as I manage to capture it, they are gone. I'm talking about beetles. I think they are some sort of beetles at least, that fly around. They fly around these areas where tires usually go over, and I don't know if is it because some of these parts are still moist, so they like it there, or actually I do believe they are kind of hunting bugs, and these parts where there is no grass makes it easier for them to spot the prey and catch it. I actually seen one eating a kind of insect I later found, the same kind I found a bit later while walking, that has its own house. Unfortunately, the one that they were eating, I guess, remained homeless and not alive anymore. But interesting, I mean, look at this thing. Imagine carrying your own house like this. That would be a greater burden than any mortgage you can have. Or maybe not, I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems, unfortunately, I'm not going to catch any of these. Before we leave, let's appreciate this guy. So this is so-called broad-leaved anemone. Unfortunately, there is not too much of them now, so I'm happy that I found even this one. But there are entire patches just near this area where I'm now that are filled with these. So everything looks pretty much purple from them. Just like the wood anemone, now around March, it is their time to bloom. And oftentimes I find them blooming around the same time when the first leaves of wild garlic appear. So here we are. Days are getting longer. Nature is getting louder. People in general are happier, you can notice that. And I want you to be happy as well. So go out and touch some grass. It does not have to be literal like I do, but find your own way to do it. Until next time.